Well, thank you everybody for coming to our all hands meeting. This is Cello, and our agenda today. I'm going to be looking to the side because that's where my other screen is. So the agenda today. This is the last of our meetings, all hands meeting for this year of WISE. And what we're going to do today is I'll go through a quick overview of the transition for WISE, the changes. Mark is going to talk about the group FAQs. Then I have just a couple of minutes. It's not going to be 5 minutes, just reflecting on the past. Some of the folks have been with this effort for the past 6 years, just kind of reflecting on that a little bit, and then open it up for discussion about the things that you may have comments or suggestions and stuff like that. So these are the sort of areas of WEF WISE program that we've been working on for the past 2 years, and before that for another 4 years with UAIM. So one was the peer-to-peer network and exchange of ideas and practices and experiences, and working on collaboration on initiatives, including asset management and CIP and risk management and energy management. The second component was the librarian job of curating the shared knowledge base, the artifacts that people have contributed, managing curating the water sector value model when people submitted their business process models, to put them in Signavio, get it organized, support people with things. And then also curation of the framework and the methodology and the different tools that we've been using. And the last part is that the program team has been helping utilities with their specific improvements efforts to processes or technology or other things. So this was kind of a little using the things that were in this yellow box. So the transition looks like this. This component here is gonna move to it's gonna become a WISE focus group, which is under the Utility Management Community. For those who are easily confused, like myself, it used to be called Utility Management Committee. Now it's been rebranded to Utility Management. All the committees have been rebranded to communities, and what used to be subcommittees have been rebranded as focus groups. So the chair of the Utility Management Community is Zonetta English, who has been a longtime supporter and actually one of the initiators of this whole adventure, Zonetta English. And the WISE focus group is still kind of being finalized. And I will say a little bit about what we're thinking right now. So it's within the scope of the WEF's volunteer platform, if you will. There are other communities out there, but utility management is sort of like the premier, one of the highest profile utilities, communities. So there will be some challenges here to format the work of this focus group to be working well within the overall framework of the utility management community, but fortunately we can rely on not just Zonetta, but she's also engaged some resource because to help with this, because it really is a lot of work. And like most of you, she also has a real job, a day job. So I'm thankful for her support. So what I'm thinking about right now, as I've been talking to different utilities, is I was tasked to define some work groups. It's not really under, it's within it's not intended to be a hierarchy, but to have 3 areas where people could that people can organize around. And this will be maybe familiar because it's people, process, and technology. So one of them will be workforce development for effective change management. I'm very happy to say that I've had some discussions with DPW, City of Baltimore, and for example, I hope Marco's not going to mind me saying this. He will provide sort of leadership and energy and help us with this effort. There's also Ramona. There are some other folks in other utilities who are interested in specific aspects of this. One of them from Great Lakes basically wants to know, how do I keep programmers who bail out as soon as they have enough skills to get a higher paying job, and the governance of technology and stuff like that, the governance in general and stuff like that. So that'll be one. And what I'm very happy about is that Marco will bring experience with and knowledge about DE&I, and DEI is going to be an important part of this work group. And so I'm just letting folks know that when you think about this focus group, if any of these groups appeal to you, to please just let me know, and I'll work with Zanetta's resource and Zanetta to get all this organized so we can kick it into place in September. And the second one is process documentation, modeling, analysis, and improvement. We would very much like for this to be a utility person. We're looking for this person temporarily. Mike Barnett is going to provide support, but we're still looking for a person from a utility. I've had somewhat tentative agreement from some folks, but I don't want to, because I don't have a firm commitment. I hesitate to announce who they are. So and as far, the third area is technology integration across the enterprise. And that is really, these are the issues that people are struggling with. So we have some folks who are interested in this, but not yet a sort of a core team, 2 or 3 people who are willing to kind of be more engaged. So I'm going to stop right now just to see if there are any questions on what I've said so far. Mike, any hands up or no?
No, I don't see anything, Cello.
Okay, just interrupt me if you see or something in the chat. I can't look at the chat line and the thing, at the same time.
Yeah, I'll watch these two, the chat and the hand raising, Cello.
Okay, thank you. So that is for what these WISE focus group would look like. And what we're looking for as delivering is workshops at conferences, including WEF and Utility Management Conference, working meetings and sharing on selected topics that are virtual, not within the context of a conference. Also workshops that may be virtual. It would be great if it could be in person as well, but we have to see if people are ready for that, and also webinars. So these are the types of things that we would expect to produce. And my goal, similarly to the WEF WISE, is for this to be really featuring utilities up front rather than the program team. So the second thing is the curation of the shared knowledge base, which is a bit of a monster. Had 4,000 files when we began with the WEF WISE program. The important thing is that the people who have been utility partners and who have contributed will continue to have access. You have links, and these links will keep working. No access at all will be given to the internal, outside of the people who have been involved in posting documents. The artifacts that are really owned by the utility partners who have posted them, only people who have been the legacy utilities will have access to those, to the current, how the knowledge base looks like right now. We're trying to kind of keep the promise that this is for utilities, a safe space, and that's how it's going. This knowledge base will remain. Access will remain as it is today to the current. Now, the last one is implementing the methods and tools under the WEF WISE. We had some budget from the subscriptions where a program team could provide such support. We have experienced that utilities, a lot of people in utilities are extremely busy and stretched thin with current work, and they benefited from support that the program team was able to provide. But this would not work. It's none of the other volunteer focus groups within the Utility Management Committee have this mechanism to provide professional services. So there are, utilities who want to be implementing these things will, of course, have access to the tools. If they want external support, like what Mike and I have been, if they feel they need it, they could. Some utilities are already making plans and go to engage us specifically through their procurement process to help out as needed. Some utilities have participated in a proposal for a new project with the Water Research Foundation, which really aligns well and with kind of doing these case studies. So if Water Research Foundation does award this to our team, that'll be another avenue. And of course, legacy utility partners will be able to use the internal resources only and still have access to these tools. And if you have more questions about this, you can let me know to kind of explain what this 5178 is. It is a project that what we would be. Our proposal is to use the tools that have been developed in the previous Water Research Foundation project. This one you're all familiar with, the UAIM, and this one was another one on the definition framework and assessment. This one mostly, as you know, we worked on people and processes. This project created also worked on the technology and created tools for technology assessment. And this one also provided the the methodology for continuous improvement. So our proposal tells Water Research Foundation, we're going to use what you already paid for to produce all the deliverables that you want in this 5178 proposal. We kind of firmly believe that it's time to start using things, not just to be kind of in perpetual development phase. So this is what we would kind of like to focus on if we get the WEF project, or going on working with utilities from now on, is to use whichever, this is the methodology for improvement. You are all familiar with this, that we would try to answer questions. What should we improve in the preliminary, whether it's people and process or technology, different assessment tools to see what the maturity is of the process, of the technology, do some documentation of as-is business processes. Then when we get this information, then it's, okay, what do we want to change or improve? Which would include the analysis of the business process, designing a new one. And very often projects would go directly into implementation. But what we've added is and integrated the component about the people side, which includes assessment of workforce and organizational culture, to be taken into account as projects are planned, and also assess the readiness for change. So this is kind of the map that we would go through on these improvement efforts. So to make things easier is we've defined, this is posted, you can get it. For folks who want to have some assistance, we prepared this template for like examples of scope elements. This goes back to Zonetta's comment 3 years ago, who said, well, Chalo, you need to give us a template so we can build a scope of work. So it has different components, and it's just a menu. When we go to the restaurant, we seldom order everything what's on the menu. So somebody may say, okay, I just want to look at the business process and modeling, or I want to just look at technology and business, or I just want to look at change management or whatever, to know how to tailor the support for implementation the way that that they can design that scope. So this is just an example to show that even if in one of the meetings we asked folks, well, what's the first thing that utility thinks about when they want to face a problem? And they said, well, the first thing they think about is technology. And what's the most, and then less about process and even less about organizational culture and so forth. But when we asked them what is has the most impact, the organizational issues and people issues were on top. So this just showing, even if we only look at technology, that the kinds of things that we have to work out is like, what data do we need? That is really what business needs to define. And that to identify the gaps in what's available and what is needed, also so either business or jointly business and technology people. Clemenceau said that war is too important to be left to the generals, and technology is too important to be left to technologists. So it's just an example that we really need to have this kind of integrated view.
Results from these assessments.
Oh, I apologize for the status. I can't stop, but this is just an example of the assessments. I didn't realize that the sound file was there.
And they are relatively easy to apply. The questions they contain, we would need to answer anyway during our improvement efforts, and it's far better to ask them up front.
So I apologize for that. I included the slide, but I forgot that it has a automated narration. So are there any questions before we go to Mark? Okay, Mark will unmute his.
There aren't any questions in the chat, Chalo.
Okay, thank you. So Mark will unmute his and speak about the FAQs. I'm sorry that they're not listed. I went to the wrong file.
No, it's okay. It's okay, Chalo. I was just able to get them in this morning. So I'm preparing, with the help of the program team, I'm preparing an FAQ, and a lot of that information was covered at our all-hands meeting last month, and then Cello just reviewed some of it again this month. So there's a couple things that we would certainly want to bring your attention to that we haven't talked about yet, perhaps, and that is how to join this WISE focus group. And so we, as being part of now the larger utility management community, we do need folks to be WEF members to be part of the group, but I think most of the folks on this call probably already are WEF members. And if not, I certainly would encourage you to join. But so that's part of how do I transition over from our current model to the new model? And one of the questions is, well, how do you join the focus group? And so we're working on that. There's a number of things that are getting finalized right now in terms of how to join a community. And in this case, you'd be joining the utility management community and be part of the WISE focus group. So we'll have links to that as well as some additional information. We're also hoping that we don't want to put a burden on you, but we're also hoping that folks who are part of the program can be ambassadors for the program. And one of the things I learned in the philanthropic world, working with some local nonprofits, is the best place to find new members or new people who want to participate and do the same sort of community work that you do is through the people that are already there. So as usual, we always ask that if you know someone, you have colleagues either within your organization or in other organizations, other utilities that are interested, we certainly would love for you to be an ambassador for us or refer them to the program team. We're certainly happy to talk to them about becoming part of this larger effort, as Cello likes to call it, as part of the WISE movement. So I'll pause there because I think most of the things I have in the FAQ have been covered last month and this month. But if folks do have some additional questions, please send them to me or Cello or one of the other program team members, and they'll get them over to me. And we'll continue to update the frequently asked questions with that information. So are there any questions right now that you have about the transition, the new model, or how things are going to be moving forward?
Mark, Zonetta, you had your hand raised for momentarily there. I don't know if you had a question.
I don't have a question. I just got to make a statement to reiterate so that you will be able to have access to where everything is going to be located and how everything will be communicated on HiveBright. You have to be a WEF member, okay? If you have a project that you're working on that you have team members that aren't WEF members, that's fine. But to have access and to be able to function within the WEF community, you have to be a WEF member. So I just want to make sure that everyone knows the expectations. And so we don't have any issues where I can't access something or I don't get the information because that's how they communicate. And that's just a criteria. So just want to make sure that everybody understands that that's not an option there for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Zonetta.
Yeah, thanks for reiterating that, Zonetta. I appreciate that. So again, it's real easy to join, and I would encourage everyone, if you're not already a WEF member, it would be great to have you join us. So
thank you, Mark. Now I wanted to reflect a little bit on the years past. Want to thank all the people who made this successful, from Mike Stoll and Kevin Simmons, everybody in this photo, everybody on this call. Mike Sweeney just called in 2016. He was the first utility person, 2016, that I spoke to about this crazy idea and of starting an effort like this. So everybody else, at one point there were 128 people involved, and I wouldn't be able to go through all the 128 names right now. But I want to say everybody made, it's really the utilities who made this successful. And I also want to recognize the contribution that Scott Haskins has made to this project. He was a collaborator and a friend, and I'm very grateful for the support that he has provided. On a Friday a couple of months ago, Scott and I talked on the phone, and we're making plans of what we're going to do next. Next day, Saturday, he texted me and said, well, I don't feel well. I got to go to the hospital. On Sunday, his son texted me and said, Scott's not going to get out of this hospital. And Scott passed away at 2:15 a.m. on Monday. I remember Scott being on the phone from the hospital when he was receiving chemotherapy. He didn't want anybody to know, but he's been battling one of the toughest things out there for 3 years and kept working. And I feel a great debt to his commitment. The last few months, he canceled all his other professional engagements and participations on different boards to work on this project. And I just wanted to use this opportunity to thank him and show my appreciation. And it's been a wonderful ride for the past 6 years. We can grow this. We can make it better through this WISE focus group. We can continue collaboration, do all sorts of crazy things, and also make implementations and improvements in individual utilities. So thank you, everybody. This was kind of really one of the most rewarding experiences of my professional life. This has been wonderful. And I just want to, it's been wonderful because of you, not because of me. So I want to open it for discussion and see if people have comments or thoughts or ideas about the future and so forth. Mike Sweeney, I'm going to have to call on you because I started with you, so you're the go-to guy when people get silent.
Sure, Cello. Good morning, everybody. That was really heartfelt, Cello, about Scott. I've known him for 27 years. I met him at a utility management conference. I think it was in Portland that year, somewhere around 1999, and instantly became friends. He was that kind of guy. But I think and just trailing off of what Scott was all about, he was extremely collaborative and shared everything he knew. I mean, the accolades that have come out since his passing have been just spot on about what he was about. And it's a great thing to continue this in the spirit that was created, in that is very important for us as a water sector to be able to do what we're doing and keep on the continuous improvement approach. I think this is the best platform that's out there to pursue that. And I don't know what else to say, Cello, but I know you're greatly appreciative of this team on board and the folks that have been involved in the past. But there's a lot of people, I think, that have been involved in the past are still watching this closely and looking for opportunities as they come about, and will jump in when they need to. And I think where you're headed in terms of perhaps a different approach, and for some maybe markedly different, I think it'll work out because there's the software as a service type of approach. This is much more than that. This is a process improvement as a service approach. It's really brand new, at least for us. And we have a lot of catching up to do in terms of best practice as a sector. A lot of people are doing variations of this in the private sector. We're in the public sector. We're not necessarily competing against each other. We're growing as a result with each other. So, thanks for the opportunity, Cello.
Well, thank you, everybody. Any other thoughts? Mike Barnett, did you have your hand up? Oh,
No,
Deb Rose.
Deb,
I'm sorry,
has a hand up.
Deb Rose has her hand up. Sorry.
Yes, thank you. I just want to say I think this is a good approach. It is, what you've done in the past has matured to this, and I think that this is a great approach. And I look forward to being able to be a part of the different areas that in the upcoming months and years. So I think we will do well with this type of an approach.
Well, thank you. I'm just also going to call on another person, on Marco, because he usually has some profound things to say. Come on, Marco, help me out.
Okay, well, I've been voluntold. Thank you, Cello. First, just to pay homage to Scott. And of course, I did not have, I would say, the great privilege of knowing Scott for as long as many of you have. But in coming to Baltimore into the Department of Public Works a couple years ago, and then I actually kind of was a seamless transition as I segued into this office as the Chief of Equity and Environmental Justice for the agency, then subsequently participating in the meetings with Scott and with Cello, and just could discern the kind of respect and kind of the mutual regard that you all had for each other, and how Scott just kind of meets people and automatically would just connect to you. And I felt his passion, his commitment, his dedication to this important work. I will then segue from that to say, working with Cello is equally, just a pure delight. And in so many ways, as I am the ears and eyes and sometimes maybe the conscience of the city, Baltimore City's largest agency. We are the nation's 8th or 9th largest utility, and around the work that we do and the service that we provide, I am extremely passionate about what equity looks like, and that it is something that I've actually branded this agency with a mantra. We've got a few of them, but the mantra out of this office is equity in all we do. And what that really is, it's aspirational, and it's also very realistic in what we do intentionally. So the work around equity and what equity really looks like, what it sounds like, how it is lived out in every space in this utility. We are both water and solid waste, and we're IT, and we're communications, and we're all of the equity initiatives, and we're the EEOC stuff. Equity is in all of that, and how we embrace that has an awful lot to do with who we are, how we see ourselves, and how we actually see the humanity in others reflected in ourselves. So whether it's a budget, a line item, or whether it's a program or a service that we provide to our customers, or what we provide to the folk who come in every 2 weeks, we meet new employees, the training that we enable for them to acclimate to the agency. How does this all translate to the work that we're doing with Cello and what we're doing with WISE? It's pretty seamless. It's inextricably linked. And so for me, from a place of transparency, the equity is a job that I have, but it's a space in which I live. So whether I had this title or did this work for DPW, the equity, diversity, inclusion, and most importantly, justice is a place where I live. And so doing the right thing, doing things that make sense, that are practical, but also understanding that the relational piece that we have in the work that we do with our customers, with our colleagues, with those that we serve, with those we collaborate, and those that we will never even know. That's where we are. So I hope that my contributions in the work that I do with Cello can help move the needle, so that in one day we won't be working at this at all. It'll just be a given.
Thank you very much, Marco, and I'm happy that I'm glad that I asked you to speak after I spoke. I wouldn't want to speak too much after this. So Zonetta, as a chair of the Utility Management Committee, early and strong supporter of the program. Any words from you before we wrap it up?
Just wanted to welcome everybody. I apologize. You may hear some construction behind me. We are building a new computer center right outside of my office. But I just want to, I know sometimes I come off as the person who's like the process person, and these are the requirements that we have. But I do want to let you know that WEF is going to be very, very supportive. Want to make sure that you will be getting access to a whole lot more resources. And I mentioned about the cost of the WEF membership. There's a lot of benefits to that. And actually, our utility is a UPP member. So that means we pay a large amount. So I know that doesn't apply to all utilities, but I think that it's a good, wise investment for the price each year to be a member. And you have our commitment to support this program. I think is very, very essential. It fills a gap that we need actually in the utility management community. And I think this will fit very, very, very well and have an opportunity for it to showcase. I've committed to this group to be able to help with the marketing. We're going to have some podcasts. We also have a newsletter. So part of the thing is that, in all honesty, I don't think WEF previously supported in the marketing effort that it should. And so hopefully we'll be able to do some correction on that and give light to all of the hard work that everybody has been doing. And that's really the case, is to be able to have the share and to showcase. So thank you, Dr. Cello, Mr. Barnett, Mr. Poling, and everyone for all of your work. I'm going to continue. Really, nothing's going to change other than where it sits and have more resources. And so you can continue the great work that we've been doing.
Thank you very much. And you will give us a few minutes at the the community meeting at WEFTEC. Is that correct? We'll about focus group.
Most definitely. And you also have we have not scheduled it yet, but there will be a utility management community wise virtual meeting. That usually happens a couple of weeks beforehand. So we'll make sure that you're on the agenda for that. And then we have that 1 hour meeting where it's like a speed date where new people can come and you can gather and talk as well. And we will have our first newsletter that'll be published that I'm finishing up now. And then I will be putting a 1-pager that will go on the utility management community. We have our own LinkedIn page, and I'll get the information that you want once you set your three groups to how to invite people to join, and we'll put that on HiveBright and get that done for you. So, we'll meet offline to get that done. So that's what we'll be doing in August before you guys start back up in September, and hopefully that'll be helpful for you.
Yes, thank you very much. So
you're welcome.
Let me just see, just 1 second, stop recording. Yes, so I will post